Hello and welcome into the RotoWire esports show. I'm Andrew Laird, joined as always by Ethan Sexton. Today to talk about Thursday's 4-series LPL LCK slate. Ethan, we had another chalk fest on, what is today, Wednesday. Karsa Captain was the winner in what I was playing, but I was not the winner in what I was playing.
Yeah, as you correctly hypothesized or saw into the future when you said that Karsa Captain was going to be the winner when we recorded for yesterday. Yeah, man. I mean, these two-game slates suck. There's not really much else to say about them. I mean, they're tough. I mean, I like them for cash games, but for GPPs, it's like, okay, I play the two favorites and I split with 40 plus people, or I go out on a limb and lose. I mean, it's basically what it comes down to, unfortunately. But hey, man, we're moving on. We got 4-game slates the rest of the week, so we can look forward to those a little bit, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I went with the top long stack, EDG with the WE team one off. WE team one off scored 9 points, and that was not enough. Simple as that.
Yeah, they didn't put up much of a fight at all, man. And
Nope.
I thought EDG would win because they're on another level, but I mean, WE offered like no resistance
None.
whatsoever.
Just-
So that really hurts when you go for a one-off with them, right? I mean, could have easily seen that being a 2-1 or something at least, and then the one-off looks a little better, right? But it just, it didn't work out, man.
So not only was the concern about top not scoring that well because they were so much better, they smashed. And then, EDG 15-2, 15-2. 4 total kills, WE not delivering anything remotely close to a 2-1. So
No, I honestly thought my cash game lineup was in jeopardy for after the first game because EDG just didn't score very well. But luckily, in cash it didn't matter because I had a 4-man EDG, and
Ooh.
it didn't look like they were gonna end up being the smash team on the slate, which they weren't, but it still worked out okay because I mean they got 30 kills at least and got the games not played, which was good enough for cash games.
Yeah. And obviously the games not played matched all the top games not played bonuses since it was both sweeps anyway, so you didn't have to worry about missing out with at least in that respect.
Yeah, but it was nerve-wracking because, I played Flandre as my top laner, and, he's involved in 8 of 30 kills and scored 44 points, so it wasn't looking great, but it worked out for cash, so it's all good.
I also played Flandre, but like I said, it didn't matter with the way that I went. But we go to Wednesday, where we have a few more choices. We have Invictus Gaming, the biggest favorite on the slate, against LGD. Right behind them, LNG, which sounds weird until you see that they're playing Rogue Warriors, and then it all makes sense.
Yep.
Hanwha Life, big favorites against Fred at Brion. I believe Hanwha Life is the best team left to not lose to Fred at Brion yet, so maybe we have a little thing to look forward to. And then the closest series is Red Force against KT, which I feel like we just saw, but maybe I'm confusing them with somebody else. It's like two teams that I never think about, and so they just happen to be playing each other, so maybe that's all it is. It feels like one of those things where, like, do you want to put all your faith in a good team against one that's not as great in IG against LGD, or do you really just want to say whoever plays Rogue Warriors is where I'm playing, and then you end up with LNG? So where are you thinking?
Yeah, what if I told you neither?
Oh, yes!
Bringing out the spicy hot takes here.
There we go.
Late on this Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
So if we look at this slate, I think, LNG are in a great spot against Rogue Warriors, no doubt about it. Rogue Warriors are awful. We talk about how we want to target them all the time. But do we want to play LNG as the most expensive, in a lot of these roles? That doesn't seem that.
It feels weird.
Appealing either, even though they're in such a great matchup. And then IG and LGD, I think IG will win. They're a much better team, but do you full faith trust IG to do the right thing here as well? Or do LGD have one series in them in the last week of the year here where they could possibly cause an upset? We talk about how they beat the teams that are worse than them all the time. Could they possibly find a way to to upset a team that's only slightly better than them instead of light years better than them.
There we go.
I don't feel that confident in LGD winning, but IG have looked kind of shaky of late. They haven't been great, and maybe LGD could pull off an upset. I not expecting it, but throwing it out there, okay? And I think the main reason, I bring that up is this slate is actually really difficult, in my opinion, because you have HLE, who I actually think HLE are in a great spot, and they're not as highly priced as LNG or IG, with just as much upside, in my opinion, in this matchup. So I kind of like them for their prices, but the issue is, you cannot play HLE and LNG and IG in any combination of the three without playing double support. I don't even think you can fit double jungle with those three teams. And I didn't mess around with all the combinations, so I might be speaking wrong. But man, I don't know if you can play double jungle with any of the combinations of those three teams. And then you're looking at double support, which cash game viable for sure, or double top lane, which is always risky. We have the Shy on the slate, but he's been kind of crap lately.
Yeah.
And then, even a guy like Flandre, like we just talked about, was involved in 8 kills this morning, and it's just really hard to full faith captain a top laner. So I think this is kind of a difficult slate for building chalkily, primarily because I'm not sure what to do about that KT Red Force series. It's pretty evenly matched. Red Force did sweep them in their first matchup earlier this year. But I feel like that one could go either way, and I don't have a lot of confidence on either side, to be honest. So it's sort of a difficult slate if you want to build with these favorites.
Yeah, so the pricing gap from the top, basically at every position, it's you have this cluster of LNG, Invictus, HLE, and then there's a decent drop off down to the Red Force and KT, which I guess makes sense because that one's supposed to be a lot closer, but it's also the one that can go either way. So now you're well, usually what we say is if there are two teams that are fairly close, just take the cheaper one. But then you're do I really want to play KT? Not really.
I know. I mean, KT, those two teams are really similar, right? So I think I would play if I need to go to that matchup. I mean, even though they got swept in the reverse fixture, it's I think I still want to be on the cheaper side because they're very comparable teams. I mean, KT has 440 kills compared to Red Force's 424, and then deaths on the slate this year, or on the year, they're within one of each other. So It's they're very similar teams. So give me the team that's a little cheaper. There's not much difference in fairness in between their salaries, but maybe if I play KT, I can actually fit in some sort of decent combination with one of the a Hanwha Life, and then it's do I want to play double LCK on this slate? I'm not sure. I mean, I honestly do think Hanwha Life have as much upside as LNG and IG. I think they're in a great matchup, and they've put up a lot of really high kill games in the past, so I think they can match the scores. Not sure they will. I think they can, though. But I don't know if I want to go double LCK. It doesn't that KT Red Force series feels like it could be 30 kills for the winner, which worked today on the 2-game slate, but is it going to work on a 4-game slate? It's a little tougher to do, I guess.
Yeah. I was trying to build basically among the we said today's slate, it was a 4-team slate, and we were we're only really treating it as a 3-team slate.
Right.
And so this is a 4-series slate, and I wanted to treat it as a 3-series slate. But if you don't really love the underdogs that much, then you can't do it. So then I was all right, well, maybe I can make a combination of one of the three, or two of the three, between LNG, IG, and Hanwha, and then I can just play the team slot from that other series. And if I could just play both, then it's fine. But they're still so expensive, you're not even close. So now it's now do I do a one-off from the series I don't want to play at all? And now we go back to the whole the only guy that we ever really want to play from Red Force is Diakdom. And so, but do I want to use a 80 carry spot on him when there are plenty of others on the slate that I want?
Right.
The only thing I know is that I'm probably not playing Rogue Warriors, but I think it's a decent Rogue Warriors GPP slate.
Yeah, so former RotoWire League of Legends writer Calvin T, he also said that it's a Rogue Warriors slate.
Ooh.
But I want to warn you that every day in our group chat that I'm in with him, he trolls us and says that it's always like yesterday was the OMG day, or like, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, he is very good at calling upsets sometimes. So he liked Rogue Warriors too. I don't see it personally, but you're going to get Rogue Warriors at like, what, 1%, 2%, 5% max ownership. And maybe like I sort of like stood here saying that I'm not afraid to play LGD. So if I'm not afraid to play LGD, why should I be afraid to play Rogue Warriors at even less ownership probably? I still say on paper Rogue Warriors should have been much better than what they've ended up this split, but they've just been so bad.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine, man. Like Betty and Ziv were once great players in Taiwan, and they've just been awful, man. But yeah, I mean LNG are like good, but not that good. So maybe Rogue Warriors have one shock left in them before the end of the year here, but it's hard for me to imagine and really get fully on board with it. But you know, you're going to get them at pretty low ownership. So
yeah,
I mean,
the only reason I consider it is has nothing to do with Rogue Warriors. I mean,
right.
It obviously has something a little bit, but if I'm going to try to use the worst team in the league. Now, granted, I think this is exactly what I said when they played OMG, and LNG are definitely better than OMG, and OMG smashed Rogue Warriors too. But if you're going to try to get something out of a team like Rogue Warriors, I think it's okay to do it on a 4-game slate where they're not playing RNG or top or EDG. Like, they're not playing an elite team.
Right.
I think it was perfectly fine if you played them against OMG when they played a few, what was the last week or whenever it was, even though OMG smashed them. Like, I think at this point in tournaments, I think you're going to get significantly better leverage with Rogue Warriors than you will LGD, because I think people can see LGD winning and not being like a ridiculous outcome. We talk about how Fredit Breon doesn't score well enough even if they win. And so I don't want any sort of Fredit Breon stacks that sweep and get me a total of 160 points. And if this KT Red Force one is such a toss-up, I'll play Rogue Warrior. And if I play Rogue Warriors, I can pair them with anyone else on the slate. So now I don't even have to worry about the high pricing of IG or Hanwha. Yeah,
no, you're right. I mean, you're making a good case, man. I'm not going to say too much more about it because I don't really agree. No, I agree with your thinking, with your thought process. I think it makes perfect sense what everything you just said, but I just, man, I don't know. I can't see it for Rogue Warriors. But yeah, I hope that they win and you can rub it in my face tomorrow that you have a great lineup with them. Like, I definitely get the rationale. Like, I don't think it's stupid. So I didn't mean to insult you there. Not at all. I don't think they win. They've just been so awful, man.
Yeah.
It's really tough. But
really,
this is
really
their last. It's their last series of the split, man. So they can't hold. Classic line from the Water Boy when Bobby Boucher's kicking off and playing offense, right? He can't hold anything back now, Brett Musburger. So yeah, I mean, maybe Rogue Warriors just get really weird and wacky and come out with something that just screws LNG up. And like I said, I don't see them winning, but I get the rationale for sure, man.
Yeah, I think everything points to Rogue Warriors except them winning,
right?
Which in League of Legends DFS is usually a key component to scoring well in your fantasy lineup.
To me, it's just like I see the path for LGD winning easier, and to your point, I think other people will too. But does that mean they're like 10 to 15% owned instead of Rogue Warriors like 2%?
Right.
I'm not sure, but I still feel like LGD will be low enough owned that where I can see a path for them winning where I really can't with the Rogue Warriors. I don't know. I mean, I think they're both honestly going to lose, so it probably doesn't matter at the end of the day. But I feel like taking a shot on them on this slate where it's so hard to build with the favorites, not the worst idea in the world for tournaments.
I do think that if all of the favorites win, I think LNG is the lowest score of the group. Like, I actually wonder if, even though Rogue Warriors has an entire season worth of data that they get absolutely smashed, LNG just really haven't put up enough points in any series I can remember, which doesn't say much. But like if I think IG sweep or 2-1, like I think they outscore LNG if LNG sweeps. I definitely think Hanwha can outscore them, even though we kind of talk about Fred at Breon not being in like high scoring games, but I think that's more because of them.
Right.
And I hate to say that KT Red Force one, like if that one goes off, like well done to whoever is playing as if it does, because I just don't see it happening. But
I feel like that one is just the one you go to because you don't want to play Fred at Breon, Rogue Warriors, or LGD, right? And you can maybe build more competitive lineups with those two teams. But that one feels like, it's going to be kind of a snoozer. But we've said that before, and then it ends up being the craziest series on the slate. So that could happen. But I'm in agreement with you. I don't know. It's sort of a tricky slate, man. I mean, it's a good one for gamer, but it's a little bit tricky. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just
I do agree with you. Sorry, I got off on that tangent. I agree with you about LNG though. Like they are not really that impressive. I mean, they barely have more kills on the year than LGD, and they don't score that well. But it's just this matchup, that looks pretty appetizing.
I mean, on a per game basis, they're behind Red Force, and they're almost tied with KT.
Right.
I mean,
not great.
No. Hanwha and IG lead the slate. They're both over 14 kills a game. Rogue Warriors 17.5 deaths per game. It is just an astonishing number.
It's bad.
But yeah, I think the good thing about Rogue Warriors on this slate is if it totally crashes and burns, you have weeks until you have to do it again.
Yep, months even.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when the summer split starts, but yeah, you can just burn it out of your memory immediately and go from there. So yeah, I mean, hey man, you go with Rogue Warriors, I'll go with LGD. We'll both be wrong, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds great. If you guys have enjoyed the video, if you could please hit the like button below. Feel free to subscribe for all the RotoWire videos. We have a bunch for all these sports. Baseball is really kicking off now, so if you are into season-long fantasy baseball, there are just miles of videos that we're doing for that. If you'd like to try a RotoWire subscription, just go to rotowire.com/pod, P-O-D. I think /YouTube also works. Gets you 10 free days to the site, no credit card required, access to everything we cover, as well as our subscriber Discord chat, so definitely take advantage of that if you haven't already. Ethan, thank you for that. Good luck on Thursday.
All right. Same to you, man. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Go Rogue Warriors.